Good day, everyone, and welcome to Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast, episode 15. I'm your host, Pete Costanis, and this program is brought to you by Tab Cola. And here is a commercial from the early 1980s.
Who gets the tab?
Tab Cola for beautiful people. Tab Cola, you're beautiful to me. Real cola tastes just 1 calorie. Tab Cola, what a beautiful drink. Tab Cola for beautiful people. Tab Cola, you're beautiful to me. Great taste, 1 calorie. Tab.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
Okay, and we are back. I'm glad you enjoyed that commercial. I will talk about Tab Cola in just a moment. Before I do that, I'd like to correct something from my last episode. I spoke about the anniversaries of Night Gallery and Boris Karloff's Thriller. I said both were from the 60th anniversary of their debut, and that's not true. Night Gallery debuted 50 years ago in 1970, not 1960. So I apologize for the error. Okay. Today I will be talking about a few things. As you heard before, I played a commercial for Tab Cola. It was announced last year that they were going to discontinue the soft drink. And a lot of people were either disappointed or just relieved because they don't like... either they love it or they despise it, the taste of Tab. And I'll give you a brief history of it. It was introduced by the Coca-Cola Company in 1963. And it was Coca-Cola's first diet drink. I remember Diet Ride. It's still around. I don't know if that came before or after Tab. I think it came out after from the RC Cola, from... what's it called? The Royal Crown Cola Company, the RC Cola. And it was very popular as it was introduced. And then in the 1970s, some scientists found that the ingredient in Tab, which had saccharin, caused bladder cancer in rats in their laboratories. And so I believe I don't know if saccharin is still around or they banned it, and then they replaced it with another sweetener. And then later on, they found out it did not cause cancer in humans, which was saccharin. I mean, go figure. Anyway, so in the 1980s, Diet Coke was introduced. I remember they made a big fanfare about that, and then Tab's popularity declined. And they also made other fruit flavors of Tab, root beer, ginger ale, and there was caffeine-free and clear variations, and that was like in the 1980s and through the 1990s. And so, as I mentioned before, they discontinued Tab last year, and it's a shame because I liked the soft drink when I first drank it when I was a teenager and in high school. And, once in a while I had that and a lot of people ridiculed me. And so it was very debatable. A lot of, like I said before, people loved it, people hated it. And the last time I had it was about maybe 10 years ago at a friend's house. He had a birthday party. And one day I bought a case of it just once, and then I drank it. And it varies sometimes. Sometimes it tasted good, and then sometimes it didn't. It was like a roller coaster. It was strange, very strange. So I don't know if it'll come back. I doubt it. I don't think it will. So we'll toast to a memory to Tab. We can use another soft drink, or diet soft drink, that is. Okay. Now we'll talk about something else. I'm going to talk about Chicago's lost bakeries. I will talk about a few that were very popular and very memorable to most people in the Chicagoland area. One was a Bernie Brothers bakery. I'll give you a brief history of that. Uh, Bernie Brothers Bakery was founded in 1910, and it became very successful. And they had stores throughout Chicago. And then later on, it ended up in Jewel food stores, which I remember that. And I remember the pink boxes, and they were so pretty. And I remember the trucks. They used to drive by all around. And I don't know if they were pink or not. I don't remember. But I remember the logo with the three chefs. They were holding the pastry goods. And then it sold its interest to Beatrice Foods in 1963, and then it turned into a wholesale division in 1976. And then it sold, I'm sorry, in 1979 it was sold to Edelman's Bakery. And then they just removed the brand, which is a shame because I like the name of it. And today a lot of people don't remember it. But people my age or older do. And I do post photos and ads on my Facebook page. And it was interesting to see what kind of cakes and pastries they had. Like, for example, coffee cake, cupcakes, chocolate chip cookies. One particular cake they remember is Louisiana Crunch Cake. I think I've had it when I was a kid. And people have told me online they said it was delicious. It was a very good cake. And so that's a shame it's gone. And then another bakery, which I've mentioned before on another episode of my podcast, is Dressel's Cake. And let's see. So I didn't talk much about that previously. So I have a little history of that. It was founded by Herman J. Dressel, and he was famously made the chocolate whip cake. And him and his brothers founded a bake shop at 3254 South Wallace in, I believe it's the Bridgeport neighborhood. And then and then it just exploded in popularity. And then they have a big factory, and that was located at 66th Street and Ashland Avenue. And to this day, people still miss those cakes so much, especially the chocolate whip cake. And right now, there's a bakery in Evergreen Park called Wolf's Bakery that makes the chocolate whip cake. I've never bought it. Someday I will. And I've heard from people that it's almost identical, almost. And there's recipes on the internet, and you can download it and make it yourself. And some people have done that, which I've seen on Facebook, and they showed a picture of it, of the end results, and they said it's close. So there's another bakery I wish it would return. Another bakery that I want to mention that was long forgotten, and that is Davidson's Bakery, excuse me. And they were located mostly downtown and on the north side. And I found an ad from the 50s, and the one downtown was located at 67 West Van Buren. And I remember the one that was on Randolph Street near State Street, across the street from Marshall Fields. And it was right next to the Trailways bus depot. And people have mentioned that it was a very good bakery. They had wonderful coffee cake, donuts, eclairs. And the one that I found pictures was at the elevated train on Howard Street in Rogers Park. And it was right there when you get off the train. And there's a couple photos that online, and it's beautiful. And to tell you the truth, I've never eaten there. I never sampled the bakery. So it's a shame because I've asked my mother about it and she remembered vaguely, but she never bought anything there. So there's another one that's long gone. And one more bakery I want to mention, which was a personal favorite. It was located in the Roseland neighborhood where I lived, and it was across the street from the apartment building. And it was called Bagels Bakery. And the funny thing about that, excuse me, was I remember that when you pass by it, it was the smell of the bakery, and you can't forget that aroma. It stays with you forever. And I remember my mother bought eclairs there, and they were delicious. Oh, wonderful! And I'll never forget that smell. And I think a long time ago, I think a relative of the owner, I think his daughter, or I'm not sure, and she mentioned Bagels Bakery, and she said because I mentioned about it when I typed on my Facebook page, and she says that was my father's bakery, and thank you for mentioning it. I said you're welcome. So I was asking if she had any pictures, but she never responded. So hopefully someday somebody will have a photo of it. I would love to have that. Okay, let's see. Now we'll talk about something else. We will talk about one of my favorite TV shows growing up, and it wasn't from the United States. It was from Japan, and it's called Speed Racer. Now, when you mention Speed Racer to anyone, they would remember a lot of things. They were comical and very endearing. So last year I wrote an article on my blog, AdvantageChicagoland.blog, about Speed Racer. And I will read a couple things from there. And I will start the history of that. So let's see. So yeah, it was made. It debuted in Japan, and it was from 1966, I believe, or 67, and it was called Mach Go Go Go, which that was the original title, and they made 52 episodes, and then it was very popular. So yeah, original run was from April 2nd, 1967 through March 31st, 1968. Now, it debuted in Chicago, according to my article, in 1969. And it first aired twice a day at noon against Bozo Circus on Channel 9. And then it moved to 3:30 in the afternoon. And it first aired on WFLD TV Channel 32. And I remember watching it during the 70s. I used to race home from school to watch it. And I got hooked on it. My brothers got hooked on it, and we loved it. We loved it so much. And then when I went to school, people remember watching it as well. They remember the episodes, the catchphrases, the lines. Oh, I had a friend of mine who mimicked Jim Jim, the monkey. I couldn't stop laughing about that. And it was very exciting, but it seemed violent at the time. So, yeah, it did seem violent. There were a couple episodes that were scary. Excuse me. And then, so I remember the characters. There was Speed Racer. There was his brother Spritle, Chim Chim, the chimp, Pops, Mom, his parents, Trixie, his girlfriend, Sparky, his friend, and Racer X, who was secretly his older brother Rex. Racer. And so most of the episodes were very adventurous. They face a lot of bad guys. And I love their names. I remember one distinctly was Cruncher Block from the episode The Mammoth Car. That was one of my favorites. And so I love the fight scenes, and they always make that sound, like that. And I love that. And my favorite episode on the show was called the Junk Car Grand Prix, where the contestants would build their own cars out of useless parts, and they would compete each other in the race. And Speed, Trixie, and Sprite and Chim Chim were held captive by a man by his name was Mr. Freeloader. And then one time Jim Jim had firecrackers and he placed them in Mr. Freeloader's back pocket. And then they started firing and then he was jumping up and down. And it was the funniest thing I ever saw. And then when Spider had a slingshot and he shot one firecracker in Mr. Freeloader's face, Jim Jim was laughing hysterically. I never forgotten about that. Oh, I still laugh at that one. So that was a great show. Reruns continued for quite a while. And then it went to Channel 44. And then it went off the air. And then eventually went on to home video. One day I was at the Comic-Con convention in San Diego. And I noticed that Speed Racer was on DVD. And I had to buy it. So I bought it. And I still have the original. Actually, my brother has it now. And I watched it on DVD, and it looked beautiful, and it was wonderful. And then it was released on Blu-ray, and I bought that too. And they also have release for the original show in Japanese, which would be interesting. I don't know if it had subtitles or not, but it probably looked good and was interesting. Excuse me for coughing. So it was a fun show, and everyone remembers the steering wheel of Speed Racer's car, where it had the 6 buttons. One, they had the boosters, they had the rotating tires, the saws in front, and they had the homing pigeon, and I can't think of all of them. So it was great. It was great, and it was a lot of fun. I don't see it on reruns anymore, so it's a shame. So I still have the DVD, and I hope everyone loves my story about that. And you can read it as well on my blog. Okay. Next, I will talk about, let's see, I will talk about a photo I posted yesterday of Carson Pirie Scott. And it was the entrance of the store at State Street and Madison. It was one, I believe it was that. I always forget about locations in downtown because I haven't been there in a while. So, that photo was beautiful. It was taken in 1979. It was by the Chicago Sun-Times, and when the architecture was done by Louis Sullivan, and it was gorgeous. It's still gorgeous to this day. And one day I had a job downtown, and I happened to go by the store. And Carson's was long gone then, and now Target occupies it. So the exterior is still the same. I went inside. They redone it, remodeled it, and I'm thinking of all the sections and departments that Carson's had, and I remember the elevators, with the gates. I'm sure Marshall Fields had that. I think Weebolt's did, but I think Marshall Field had that with the gates. And in the old days, they used to have elevator operators, and people wore white gloves and a uniform. And then when you entered the elevator, you ask them you say 5, please. I like to go to 5th floor. And then they would go each floor and they would announce what floor you're at. Or sometimes you would ask the elevator, where is this located? Well, I would like to go to the men's department, and they would tell you. So that sort of thing is gone. It was so elegant, but now it's self-service. Okay. So Carson's went out of business about 2018. So that's a shame, there is an online website. I don't know if it's still in business. I really don't know. So hopefully it will come back. We'll see. I doubt it, because most department stores are gone, and it's a shame about that. So I'll give you a recap of what I talked about. I talked about Tab Cola. I talk about the Chicago Lost Bakeries, which was Bernie Brothers, Dressel's Bakeries, Davidson's Bakeries and Bagel Bakeries, which was near my old neighborhood in Roseland. And I talked about Speed Racer, watch it on Channel 32 and Channel 44, and about to talk about Carson's department store. Some people always say it's called Carson's. Before that, they say Carson Pirie and Scott and Company. They remember that from the commercials. Okay, so that'll be all for today. And I hope you will join me for my next episode. This week is Holy Week for me. I celebrate my Easter this Sunday. And hopefully I will have another episode, probably Friday, if I have time. Like I said before, I celebrate Easter this week. So with my recent cancer surgery, I'm still recovering. And I have bathroom issues, so I won't be attending church this week. So it's a little hard. And with the pandemic, it's a little different because you have to get reservations. So I probably spend Easter at home. And, it'll be fine. And I heard the weather this weekend will be very nice. Okay, so I'm signing off for now. This is Vanna Chicagoland Stories, the podcast, episode 15. I'm your host, Pete Costanis, and I want to leave you off with Ray Rayner saying goodbye for now. And first I will say goodbye and take care and hope to hear from you soon. And take it away, Ray Rayner.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.